Hey, folks, welcome to the Before the Show show. A little preview of what's coming up on today's Common Sense Club and the Scott Henry Show. Rob Port from the Say Anything blog, a contributor to the Common Sense Club each and every day, is with me to kick about the issues we'll be tackling on the program today. Big question is, do you want a deal on the debt ceiling? Michelle Bachmann and Sarah Palin seem to be the two most forceful conservatives out there saying, forget a deal. We don't want a deal. We don't want any kind of a deal because you're doing a deal with the devil. Rob, does that make any sense to say, forget the deal? I mean, do we have to have a deal?
No, I don't think we have to have a deal at all. And I think that the notion that we have this deadline, this line in the sand coming up from the Obama administration is absolutely nonsense. Senator Toomey has been saying for some time now that the only reason that we would default on our national debt is if the president chooses to default on the national debt. No matter what, we're going to have enough revenue coming in to pay on our debt and to pay on the interest. We could do it. It's going to mean spending cuts in other areas of the budget. It's going to mean some of these tough decisions that the people in Washington, D.C. talk about all the time and never seem to get around to actually making. But we don't have to default on the debt. So unless the Democrats are going to put something on the table that Republicans actually want, and that's big spending cuts, that's something like a balanced budget without raising taxes, then they shouldn't make a deal.
So the debt deal says spend less and keep paying our debts, and maybe the forced discipline we so desperately need will finally come by not cutting some grand deal to say, okay, lift the debt ceiling, and then we can spend more, and then we can do this, that, and the other thing. I'm with Bachmann and Palin on this. I think it makes the most sense, be the best way out. All right, let's talk about another deal. Senator Kent Conrad has been working on a budget deal in secret forever and is getting some credit for putting his budget forward now, which he, by the way, is mandated to do and continues to ignore his responsibilities there. He didn't actually release a budget. We've got an outline of a budget. Am I right, Rob?
You're right, and you say that he's legally required to do this. He was legally required to do this 2 years ago, and to be clear, he still hasn't done it. There's no Democrat budget. If you asked for a copy of the Democrat budget from the Senate Democrat caucus, they won't give you one. Republicans can't get one. Nobody could get one because they haven't put anything on the table. What Senator Conrad did yesterday is he stood up on the floor of the Senate and he talked about the budget. He gave some outlines. He leaked out some details, and of those details we got, they don't look good, but there's still no budget on the table. The Democrats still have not put anything on the table, and you really have to wonder because Senator Conrad promised when he was retired, when he announced his retirement from the Senate, that he was going to be a leader on the budget issue. Is this leadership? Is this these sorts of partisan games where they're keeping their budget in secret? Is this leadership? I don't think so.
And by the way, big surprise, I know, but it comes with a $2.8 trillion tax hike. So once again, Senator Conrad is a tax and spender. And it's a very unfortunate deal, especially with a complete and total lack of leadership on the budget from the Senate majority, the Democrats. Last point we're going to talk about and ask if anybody cares. Rick Berg is one of a handful of Republican freshmen. I think there's 5, and then 1 Democratic freshman that has not introduced a piece of legislation. The Hill newspaper is reporting on this today saying, gosh, why haven't they introduced legislation? Did we send Rick Berg to Washington, D.C., to write legislation, to write more laws, or is this much ado about nothing, Rob? Your quick take.
Much ado about nothing. I don't think we send our legislators to Washington, D.C. to wholesale legislation. Quality, not quantity.
Big time. Those topics and many more, your take on them on the Scott Henry Show on the Common Sense Club, 2 until 5 at ScottHenry.com and on the Common Sense Club Radio Network. Join us.